Hello everyone. I know that in India it's late, but we are keeping you busy with the new sessions. So our next speaker, Sitanshu Kumar, brings a truly global perspective to our conference, having worked with organizations and governments across continents. Shitanshu Kumar understands the unique cybersecurity challenges, and he is a CISO and DPO at Insexis. He's a global cybersecurity leader with 18 plus years of experience in information security, cloud security, governance, risk management, and technical security services. As a digital transformation leader, he excels in managing high growth uh, and ever demanding business operations. He collaborates with CXOs on business strategy, analysis, planning, and execution, delivering exceptional results with relentless execution. And he has proven record of success in managing complex portfolios of IT investments across organizational and geographical boundaries, driving technology strategy and delivering transformation programs aligned with the business strategy. Actually, there's a this question that the session which is talking about today is how to start compliance journey. I know that many of people looking for the answers for this because I have even heard a lot of people asking me how to start my journey with the compliance. So I think this session will be helpful for most of the people to know how to start their compliance journey. Jitanshu, we are very happy to have you with us today. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Thanks, Pooja, for your hello. I'm audible.
Yes, 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 you are
Thanks,
audible.
Pooja. Thanks for your introduction. And yes, I'll definitely try to share my experience. Uh,
Sure.
it may help in a way to all the people to have definitely. But at the end, they should have some takeaway from this session. That's what is the objective all about. So,
Yes.
without wasting time anymore, welcome you all. Definitely, it's night in India, and uh, thanks for taking your time out. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone who are joining from across globe. So, where to start compliance journey? This question is for everyone who has embarked on this journey or who is on this journey, but he wants to excel and he wants to elevate the standard of their compliances to next level. So primarily, when we think of compliance, what is the first thing which comes in mind? The first thing which comes in mind is why I need compliance. And I need compliance basically to ensure that my organization is into a good posture, good security posture. And I can commit that to my clientele, to the authorities who are basically regulating that particular industry where I'm belonging from, and also to give a trust to our customer base that yes, we are in safer hands for our deliveries. So these are few chunks which are very important when we are thinking of compliances. Now, compliance as a cyber compliance or the IT compliance is a process to ensure that we follow the regulations, standards, laws, and different contractual obligations. Summation of all will become your compliance portfolio. Various legislations in cybersecurity, nowadays in privacy, you have multiple laws in different countries, different part of different continents, data localization, and all those with our cloud migration journey, it is also becoming very important to be cloud compliant, adhere the compliances which are mandated. So let's deep dive into this. Uh, Healthcare organizations have high trust and HIPAA as a compliance framework which they have to obey. Payment card industry, which is the highly regulated one, we have PCI DSS compliance, PADSS compliance, uh, for the payment applications, which is now growing like anything. Then service organizations, which are truly the IT services industry, India is growing like anything in IT services. We are towards SaaS journey where we are talking about everything as a service. And there, being able to showcase that your service organization is really structured well, and you are having all the controls implemented in your organization and the processes are effectively working. So that becomes very important. GDPR as data privacy uh, in European region prevailed, and further it has been adopted to multiple countries. We have more than 20 plus data privacy regulations, and every passing week, I think there is some or the other place the privacy regulations are being formed as law. uh, ISO to 27001, capability maturity model. These are the other compliance standards which organizations follow. So I really spoke about all these different compliances. Then you also adhere multiple frameworks like NIST CSF, NIST RMF, COBIT, and all. So this is the slide where I have listed down the primary goals, different controls, and control objectives on different compliances. This could be a good cheat sheet for people who are willing to go on the compliance journey or willing to obtain certain compliances, certain certifications, or attestation. So compliances are basically of three type. One is compliance attestation. That's where service organization control falls into. It's a type of post period audit. Then there is a regulatory compliances like PCI DSS, which regulates the payment card industry. Wherever you have the card data being handled or being used, accepted in the transactions, or in any form of input or output of your service, you fall into payment PCI DSS regulations. Then PADSS is for payment aggregator industry. High trust is for healthcare industry. ISO is a generic compliance which we have been having. Now ISO is having the new framework of 2022. So, what payment card industry is having all about? Uh, it's reflecting here, and it's any compliance. Typically, not only PCI, but any compliance is a continuous journey. You assess, you repair, you report, and again you go in the same cycle, so that you keep improving on your processes, you keep implementing new layers of technology solutions to ensure the effectiveness of your security solutions and keeping you compliant towards the protection and transactions of data related to that. High trust is a very highly regulated control framework in the healthcare industry. It has HIPAA was only having a narrowed scope. So high trust brings the whole gamut of healthcare industry uh, under its portfolio, and high trust has been adopted pretty fast in all the healthcare and allied industries. So, and it is having a summation of many of the compliances. It is very stringent in terms, and they have been uh, regularly updating themselves, which makes you ensure that every time you are going for the recertification, you are adding some new controls, you are getting assessed on different control objectives and control references. Service organization control. This is one particular compliance which I see has applicability in most of the industry verticals, because in case you are delivering a particular product or any service, If the product is cloud based, or you are having a SaaS offering, or you are providing a particular software to your client organization, you should be audited on service organization control. It primarily has three variants: SOC 1, SOC 2, and SOC 3. And then every variant is having three different type of reporting. That's type 1, type 2, and type 3. Let's delve into it. What SOC 1 is. SOC 1 is talking about your processes and controls around your organization, including the financial controls. And SOC 2 is all about your IT infrastructure, processes, and software applications, solutions which you are delivering to your client. SOC 3 is basically a report which generally were being published as an public document for any organization. Now, type 1 is where you define the controls and you get an attestation that all these controls are implemented in your organization. It talks about the controls were implemented during the period of audit, and where there will be evidences which you will be required to submit for each and every control that the control was present, wherein it does not go into the detail if the control was effectively working. Once you have that the control is effectively working throughout the audit tenure, in that case you are eligible to say that yes, all the controls were implemented and were effectively implemented during the tenure, and that's where you qualify for a type 2 attestation, which brings more trust in your organization and your processes for the client. And this also elevates your delivery standard from a, and it's a big differentiator for any organization. If you are SOC 2 type 2 compliant, you need not go through multiple questionnaires which may be part of the vendor due diligence, may be part of a annual assessment of a vendor. So you can eliminate a lot of those, or at least reduce, when you are SOC 2 type 2 compliant. And the type 3 report is basically a report consolidation which can be issued and shared with any of your prospect and clients without thinking, wherein type 2 document is expected to be going through NDA, and it's a private document. Unless you are really into some serious business with the prospect or your clientele, it's do refrain to share these reports. So SOC 2 is basically into five criteria, five trust service criteria. That's security, availability, confidentiality, process integrity, and privacy. Now, privacy is the fifth domain, and it's relatively new compared to the other trust service criteria. And it has got immense importance considering these new privacy laws being formed and everywhere. In India, we also have our new DPDPA Act, due to which the privacy trust service criteria becomes more important now for any organization, and most of the organization have already started planning on including this fifth trust service criteria, even if they were having attestations in past for all other trust service principles. So what we do, we protect sensitive data. To when we are doing compliance, we protect sensitive data, because data is the most important asset going forward. Everything in this world is now data driven. Whatever we talk, whatever we think, whatever we project in the future, it's all based on data. And as much data you have, that much clarity you will be having in your projections. And that's where data becomes very critical for any organization, and so the data protection is. Being compliant could be legal requirements of the geography you are operating, the industry you are belonging to. Like for insurance industry, in India there is a insurance regulatory authority, that's known as IRDAI. All the banking industry are regulated by Reserve Bank of India. All the stock exchange and stock broking firms are regulated by SEBI. Uh, Similarly, in every industry, you will have some or the other regulator which imposes you. In telecom industry, there is a lot of regulation. In India, we have TRAI, which imposes such regulatory requirements. And also because you are playing with PII data, PHI data, the PCI data. So based on these types of data which you are handling, you will be bound to have such compliances. Then the most important aspect is to maintain customers' trust. Why customer would give you more and more business? Because your processes are streamlined, you are compliant, so they can have trust on your ecosystem that your deliveries are flawless. They are having a secure vendor where they can rely upon in their infrastructure and their processes. To obtain cyber insurance, now cyber insurance is something which we obtain to ensure that we are protected in case of any threat, theft, or incident which may impact. Now, whenever you go for cyber insurance, the insurer will validate if you are meeting all the necessary compliances before they issue you a policy. And they will be having your attestation and your annual reports to renew the insurance further. To protect your companies from legal and penal actions, considering the privacy laws and all such regulations, they have huge penalty in case you breach it, in case you are found to be non-compliant. So this helps you uh, mitigating those risks for your organization. Now, what is very important to understand, do we just go for a certification? Why do we go for a certification? Because every industry is having certain amount of gray area uh, where you are developing your compliance program. You have to be cognizant enough to understand why I need this compliance. You have to have a genuine business case and a region to adhere a particular compliance. And to elevate your organization to that level, you have to go through the whole journey where you will be doing a gap assessment, baselining, and then elevating your organization to the compliant stature, and then going ahead for the certification. Do not obtain too many compliances at once. When I say do not obtain too many compliances at once, it does not mean that don't go for all the compliances which you need. You may need, yeah, and it all depends on the business you are into. If you are a BPO and you are serving multiple different verticals, you might be in need of having all those compliances in your organization. Now, is it a good idea if I'm setting up my organization to have all the compliance activities started in one go? Maybe not, because that will be a lot of work. You will have different requirements. You will have different set of ask, different type of stakeholders whom you would like to interact to. to meet all those compliance requirements. So if you're obtaining the compliances for the first time, it's advised that go ahead in a step-by-step manner to obtain those compliances. However, a pivot side of it is when you have all these compliances in place, you would now really like to summate it and bring a holistic compliance journey which can fulfill all your compliance requirement across your organization and gives you a pros- uh, relief from the prospective fears which you may have by restricting the security processes, protect the information and data of your clients and your customers. So, we believe in the principle of plan, do, act, and check. Context of organization, leadership, planning. This supports these. Here I have tried to bifurcate all those actions into different sections. When it comes to do, it is the operations part. Check is the performance evaluation, where you are evaluating how I'm doing in terms of my uh, compliance adherence. And then act is based on the findings and improvement areas, you act and work on this continuous improvement. And this is the cycle again. Steps to determine appropriate compliance is the certification. Every certification has a certain stages which you need to adhere. Like if you want to go for a SOC 2 certification, initially your organization should go for SOC 2 Type 1 compliance. I'm taking SOC 2 here as an example. So SOC 2 Type 1 compliance. Here, first you are laying down a baseline that all the controls which you have implemented are there in place and you are getting attested for that. In the next year, probably you will be keeping check on those controls and testing their effectiveness throughout the year, which will lead you to getting type 2 compliance in the next year. Similarly, it happens in high trust and other compliances as well. The steps to getting compliant is determine your risk areas. Until you know what are the risks in your infrastructure, what are the likelihood of those risk occurrences, what could be the implication, what could be the cost of not addressing a particular risk. That's very important aspect because we many a times we discount, hey, this is the risk prevailing, but I know that if I do, what if I don't do it? Now this is a very important aspect which CISO has to do. He has to bring the board of the organization cognizant about the cost of not addressing a particular risk. Because if you are not addressing a particular risk, you may have multiple examples or different scenarios which you may come across if you keep abreast yourself on what is happening across. You will be able to cite certain examples, you will be able to put certain values. If you do not mitigate this risk, this is what has happened. For example, Marriott data breach. It had happened because the vendor deboarding was not done very well. So you have to be cognizant about the risk, and this quantification is a major role for any CISO. He has to make the, and he need not be very technical while explaining this to business, because business will not understand the technical jargons. You have to speak the business language when you are speaking to the board. You have to give quantifiable matrix and quantify the risk as much possible you can, so that you get the leadership buy-in, which is very important. Invest into technology, solutions, training, and security tools. Uh, because compliance is not something which you can obtain just by doing certain bit into technology implementation, just by buying a tool. So it is combination of all. The people process and technology piece, we often discount, or we often don't do enough when it comes to training. So this is very important aspect, while adhering and maintaining compliance. Unless all the people associated in your organization or a particular business, particular process are aware why the compliance is so necessary, they will not be motivated, they'll not be aware of the consequences of not adhering those compliance and those processes which makes your organization compliant. So that's very important aspect of it. Establish and test an incident response and business continuity plan. Now, incidents are bound to happen in any organization. It's bound to happen. Breaches are bound to happen, and you can only plan to recover from it as soon as possible. You can make your organization, your processes resilient enough to bounce back, because you cannot prevent breaches to happen. You can bounce back, you can make your organization so resilient, your programs, your processes so resilient that you can bounce back. You can bounce back with minimal impact, with minimal damage to your organization. And this is what you do with your business continuity planning, incident responses. We all have seen uh, pandemic, the COVID-19, which made the whole world stand still. During this period, the organizations which were maintaining a good degree of compliance and were visionary enough, they were able to pivot pretty fast compared to others, because they had the business continuity plan, they had proper incident response plan in place, and they were able to minimize the impact. Wherein uh, we have lot many examples where organization could not sustain this effect. So then the PR strategy is one important aspect, because if your organization came across a breach, or there is an incident which needs to be public, or it has impacted your clients, there has to be adequate amount of information which will be released to the different stakeholders in right fashion, at right time, in right proportion. Because every stakeholder is different, every stakeholder will have different type of requirement to know about the incident. So it has to be done in controlled fashion. That's very important. Then it comes to selecting an auditing firm. How do you select an auditing firm? Once you reach to a your organization reaches, and this basically is very applicable, very much applicable for any startups, because startups start with an idea and they grow pretty fast, and then they realize that they have to adhere certain compliances. uh, I always advise that when you are think in the ideation phase, you should involve a cybersecurity consultant or a firm which can help you in your journey to obtain compliance, remain compliant, and mature during your journey where your business is scaling up. Because as it is always said, uh, if you try doing things after building it, you really do the patchwork. And patchwork is never giving you the impact which a foundational work will do. So build compliance journey as the foundation, one of the foundation pillars of your organization. There you can now so the major question: can a startup afford such things? Can you have a chief compliance officer on board? My question to that: do you really need it? And most of the time in the startup ecosystem, the answer will be no. You cannot afford these resources. These skills are scarce and very uh, dearer. So you should be selecting a right compliance partner who can help you build your compliance program. At the same time, they are not your cost centers. They can be your consultants. They can be your trusted partner, guiding you through the different compliances which you may need to adhere. What are the phases where you need to obtain these compliances, and what will your journey look like, and how it is going to boost your business and your prospects and your growth. So with this, we come to a requirement this we discussed. How do we get compliant? How the compliance applicability is? How do we start our journey? Once we do all this, we come in a scenario that we are having 3 4 different compliances which organization is maintaining. Now that is a huge amount of work. How do we reduce it? How do we optimize it? And the answer for that is one audit framework. This is something I'm very glad and proud to talk about. This is one framework which I have implemented in an end user organization where I was uh, responsible for managing all the compliances, and it resulted in a significant amount of savings in terms of compliance budget. Also, we were able to free up more than 40% of time from the resources who were involved into this to make our internal audit processes more strong rather than just going and working around the evidence collection and coordination job to meet the compliances. So, one audit framework is basically on a principle which I say grace. It gives you greater satisfaction, reduced effort, because you will be doing all the activities and you'll be reutilizing the artifacts and evidences. Aggregated outcome, because you will be roping in all your different compliance journeys and aggregating it uh, for the common goal. Collective approach, here we create a collective control framework where we create a superset of basically all the compliances which we adhere, because on the ground if you see almost 70% of control frameworks controls in different compliances and audits remains more or less same. 30-35% varies, which we can create a superset. Then enhanced quality, because you will be doing that stuff in a broader aspect. You will be thinking about all the different compliances you have. So this will enhance the quality of your artifacts and evidences which you will be submitting to auditor. It will be more clear in terms of understanding, and that brings grace to your compliance framework, compliance journey. Benefits of one audit approach. So better awareness. When I say better awareness, because you have a collective dashboard or representation of all the issues, control deficits which you may have in your organization for different sort of compliances. collective mitigation, because you have better awareness, you will be able to do and plan collective mitigation to ensure control compliance adherence and plan the mitigation. Effective control implementation, because now you'll be thinking on the new controls and mitigating controls from collective uh, aspect to implement a particular solution or a control which can provide you optimal result. More time towards strengthening IT compliance, adherence, and enforcement as a result of less time spent on doing the artifact collection and coordination and multiple audit interviews. Less possibilities of redundant and overlapping control implementations, because you will be able to visualize all your compliance requirement in one pane. You will be able to identify if you have overlapping controls in some areas. You will be able to streamline those, you will be able to reduce those wherever possible, and this is again going to result in uh, savings of some dollars and structuring your whole security posture better. Smooth and comprehensive internal audit, because this will only be possible if your internal audit team, which is doing all this coordination, they will understand the requirement and they'll be able to smoothen it. Holistic overview of organization and its IT compliance posture, as we talked about. So that brings me to end of my presentation. I'm open for any questions if you have. Pooja, do we have any questions? Hello.
Yeah. Sitanshu, hi.
Hi,
Thank you
Pooja.
so much. It was a great session. Actually, I was listening to the compliance as I told you that many people have even asked me. And audit is like the compliance part is for the job seeker. It is a very good opportunity to, when they are switching the career in cybersecurity. This is also one of the
Yeah,
best way that they can start their career in. So we have
correct.
two questions. One is, do you think certification for individual is required for who wants to become an auditor? If yes, which standard you suggest and who wants to be in cybersecurity compliance?
So, see, certification is always an attestation to your knowledge. So,
Yes.
knowledge is the very important key aspect. Before you go for any certification, try getting some opportunities in the field you want to work in. In obtaining a certification is not a great idea if you don't have any experience of doing that particular work. So I highly recommend, if you are a new professional, in that case you can seek for internship opportunity. And I have seen people taking up such internship opportunity in right domain, even after a couple of decades they have spent into the industry. Now they want to pivot into audit and compliances. They start as a intern somewhere, or they may look for some IJPs in their organization themselves, uh, as part of internal audit team, where the requirements will not be that stringent. If you really possess the uh, acumen and right attitude towards understanding these compliances, you can start your journey from there. And once you have done at least one full cycle of any particular compliance, in that case, yes, you can now think of getting certified. And as a baseline, uh, certified information security audit and systems auditor, CISA, is one of the core certifications which people go for. The minimal requirement is 5 years of experience into the industry before you get certified. Prior to that, if you write the exam, you will get associate status. That will help you getting some compliance related job. And later, once you have experience, you can go and get the CISA certification. Another certification which uh, or is a sellable skill is ISO 27001 lead auditor.
Okay.
Now, if you are a practitioner, you can go for implementer track. If you are willing to become an auditor, you should go for a auditor track, assessor track.
Okay. One more is, which standard is used as a reference for conducting SOC Type 2 audit?
Yep. So SOC is basically itself a standard where there is no particular guideline given. There are 5 trust service criteria which we talked about.
Yes.
So based on this trust service criteria, you do a declaration based on the different interviews which auditor will take from your different stakeholders, different walks of business, and your IT portfolio. If you are cloud based, then your DevOps. If you are having homegrown application team which is developing homegrown applications or developing applications which may be serving your clients, in that case the application team, the IT infrastructure team, the HR, the finance, it touches all different uh, parts of your business. And once all the stakeholders are being interviewed, the auditor will uh, frame the controls, which could vary from 50 to say 120 around, depending on, again depends on your business, which all industry you are catering, what type of deliveries you are catering, what type of data you are handling, what type of services you have, what type of product you are having. So all those parameters will be taken care of. And based on those controls, once the auditor frames those controls, he will request you to submit artifacts and evidences for that. Once you do
Yes.
that, so the controls are not devised by any body. uh, SOC is framed by AICPA, American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. Uh, However, it is very well accepted, and in any of the service industry, this is the most prominent certification. In the cloud era, we have all the SaaS organizations. If you are a SaaS company, every organization will first ask if you have SOC 2 compliance. If you don't have, they will really refrain to onboard you or even do POC on your platform, because in SaaS you really pull out a lot of information from your client's organization. Now, if you do not have a compliant process, they feel a threat of data being misused.
Yes.
Hope I answered
Now,
the.
yes, yes. Nowadays, compliance is like it's a regulatory process. Like every company has to go with the ISO standards and all. Thank you so much, Sitanshu. I mean, it was a very wonderful session, and I think this is the first time that we had about to know more about the compliance part. So I would request if anyone have any questions, they can connect with you on your
Sure,
LinkedIn platform. Yeah, so
sure.
we already tagged you in our social media platform. So if any questions, they will reach out to you. Thank you so much
Happy to
for
answer.
joining us in
Yeah,
ClipCon 23 Security Conference.
yeah. Sure.
And
Same here.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
nice interacting with you and addressing the folks who are present on this platform through this channel. Thank
yes.
you and looking
Thank,
forward, Pooja.
yeah, thank
Thanks.
you. Bye. Good night.
Good day. Bye bye.